Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with the Transformers issue 24. And this book is bittersweet. There's a lot of great action and the artwork is awesome. But before we dive into anything about After Death, let's talk about who made this book. The writer was Bob Budiansky. The letterer was Don Perlin. Inkers were Ian Aking and Brian Garvey. Letterer is Janice Chiang. The colorist was Neil Yomtov. Editor was Don Daly, and the editor-in-chief at this time was Jim Shooter. The print date was January 1987. And so we open up on this action. You're just kind of like, what in the world is going on? And you come to find out that there's this kid named, what's his name? Zachary, I believe is. Ethan Zachary, that's his name. And they make sure to say his name, Ethan Zachary, a lot. But he's using this his job's huge widescreen TV to play this video game. And I like how it says, you've been hunted down by and destroyed by the hordes of Hazak. And I'm like, would it just be you've been hunted down and destroyed by? But that's my brain just kicking in the overdrive. So here at the beginning, it's a little corny because we get the scientist that needs the computer to work on her research. She's saying video games can rot your brains and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, why don't you put your efforts into something else? And he's like, I like to play these as escapism to get away from busy days at work. And all of this, we're talking about this this prototype for this hydrothermocline thing that's supposed to give the world an unlimited power supply. Now, with all that said, we're going to skip some pages, and of course there's got to be ads. We go to the Ark. And here, Wheeljack is removing a Decepticon bug from Optimus Prime's brain. And it says here that Bombshell planted the bug in Transformers issue 22, which I had forgotten that we reviewed that issue. So I'll make sure to leave a card. I was like, wait a minute, why does that sound so damn familiar? So I went in and looked at all of them. I was like, oh yeah, I did issue 22. Nice. So yeah, my brain likes to play with me once in a while. But what's important about this is Optimus Prime is saying, well, no wonder the Decepticons have been able to get ahead of everything that we've tried to do. So Wheeljack's like, well, why don't we flip this and reverse engineer it to where we can hear what the Decepticons are up to. And this is where we hear the Decepticons want to go to Oregon to steal the hydrothermocline thing so that they can use it for their own machinations. But because the Autobots were able to reverse engineer that bug, I like how Optimus Prime says, well, first, what's his name? The guy at the gun. Megatron. Oh my God. He's like, what are you doing here, Autobots? And the answer is simple, Megatron. In his less conspicuous mode as a police car, Streetwise convinced the plant's guards that their presence was required elsewhere. He did this for their own protection, of course. Any other questions? And he's basically saying, how'd you know where we'd be? Sorry, I'm not going to answer that one. And I love how whenever, back in the day when he would transform into his Walther, I think it was a P-50 was the name of the gun, you know, he would just have everyone drive him around. So I like how here it shows the quick transformation back into his giant robot mode, which you have to have that suspension of belief to know that he can transform that far down. So it is what it is. Here, I love it because here's the Protecticons, there's the Decepticons, everyone's transforming, getting ready to battle. And I like how Prime is just saying that, what's it called? You're outnumbered. And what's his name? Megatron's like, perhaps you forgot to count Vortex, who was hovering overhead. Or Blastoff, who was flying in his spacecraft mode. The sides are now even, Optimus. Not yet, Megatron. When the Protectobots combine to form Defensor. And it's like a big pissing contest. We're evenly matched now. Oh yeah, well I got a giant robot. And then Megatron's like, whose power no doubt fails when compared to the Combaticons comprise Bruticus. Have you any more tricks, Optimus? Or shall we get down to the real business at hand? And here, this is the first appearances of Bruticus and Defensor, the Protecticons, and the Combaticons, so Brawl, etc., so forth. So it's kind of cool that even though, as I said, this book's bittersweet, we get some really cool first appearances. Now, Ethan Zachary, he decides, he's saying, I got to get away from here. So instead of, trying to be as inconspicuous as he can with this brooding, like this battle just getting ready to go overhead, he ends up, he gets caught. And he says, instead of fighting in real life, why don't I, he says, I have an idea where, you don't have to worry about destroying the plant, because Optimus keeps saying if we fight, this plant's going to get destroyed and what you want is going to be obliterated. So Ethan Zachary talks about plugging all the Decepticons and the Autobots into his multi-world game. And here, it got a little stretched thing, because I couldn't see Megatron agreeing to this. I would see more of Megatron as the type saying, you fool, and just squishing the kid and saying, what are you going to do now, Optimus? But again, this was Marvel Comics in the 80s, and I'm sure that they couldn't get away with that. And I think this was before or after the comic code, because I don't see the comic code, whatchamacallit, here on the cover. But still, I'm sure they couldn't show that level of violence. Now here they get plugged in, and at first, it feels kind of dumb. Like, the action's cool, the way that they're able, like the Protecticons and the Combaticons, they're able to just kind of plow through each other, no problem. But it's kind of like chess. They have to keep their kings back, because what the stakes is, and what's agreed, is that if Megatron wins, Optimus Prime is destroyed, and he gets to leave with the hydrothermocline device. If Optimus wins, then the only thing he gets is the destruction of Megatron. So both of them are hooked up to this joystick that will destroy the loser of the game. And when they first log in, the NPCs are a little obnoxious, but I start to see what Budiansky was trying to do through the dialogue, where these Protecticons come across these vines. And one of them is at first like, well, let's just shoot through them. He goes, wait, let's lift it up, and go under. Because Optimus Prime says, even though this is a digital world, our number one rule as Autobots is that we do not want to intentionally or unintentionally hurt the inhabitants of this world. Because that's one of the things that the Autobots do, is they uphold life, as where Decepticons don't. So in doing so, the vines actually help them. They say, thank you for sparing the lives of my people and ridding my lands of those two murderers. The remainder of your journey through Vineland shall go unimpeded. And then we kind of go into Cloud City, which just kind of reminds me of Super Mario Bros. 3. And the NPCs look kind of goofy. But again, you start to see the differences in being able to help people and just doing stuff for your own selfless ways. And again, let's go back just a little ways here. I actually want to touch on that because my brain decided that it didn't want to remember until now. I wanted to talk about the differences in leadership here between the Autobots and the Decepticons. So as they enter the multi-world, Optimus says, "I'll lead hotspot. Have your Protectobots follow." And here, his allies say, "No, Prime. We'll go out and we'll do it. We'll go out and check and make sure it's safe, because remember, if you die in here, then you're the one that loses and the Decepticons win, so let us go out for you." Now we cut over to the Decepticons. And it says, "You're the boss, Megatron. Lead the way." "Yeah, Vortex can't wait to follow." "Fools! You and your slag Combaticons must have your slag for cerebro circuits. If I'm destroyed, we all lose." And he makes them go out. So you see the difference between leading out of fear and leading out of mutual respect. And that goes back to what we were just talking about with the Cloud City, which I bet you 10-1, I just jumped right over it again. Appreciate you guys always waiting with me. How about we'll just skip over that and we'll go over to the, oh, no, here it is, right here. Fight ensues. And I cannot remember their names, so I'm not even going to try to start assuming, but one of them begins to fall. And he says, grab on, and he goes, no, remember what Prime said. I can manage myself. You save these NPCs. I don't know what the people are called. And because the Autobots save these little guys in the midst of this battle with the Decepticons, as you see here, they actually assist the Autobots by creating a smoke screen that causes the two to smash into each other. And that's what I really like, is this kind of, a lot of people say, well, when you're in a video game, why don't you ever want to play the villain? And this is kind of wise, even though it's a fake world, it's that moral compass inside you. And I like that they kind of showed that here. Now, I don't want to give any more away about the battles in here, because some of them are really badass, especially the next one in this swampland. It's really cool. What I want to get into is the battle between Optimus and what's his name? Megatron. My God, I've not had enough coffee yet. What's his name? Megatron actually finds a way to cheat. But even in cheating, Optimus finds a way to win. He's been severely damaged by Megatron, and it says, ignoring the pain in his mangled left arm, Optimus Prime yanks desperately at a nearby support pipe and topples the towers that stood above it. But as you see Megatron fall, and you see all the little NPCs going with him, and everyone's like, yes, Prime won. That means that Megatron's going to lose. And this is where I understand how Prime is selfless, and that's an excellent quality, but it's almost to a fault, because he goes, no, I cannot accept this victory. In defeating Megatron, I caused the death of Metro Pipe's inhabitants, something I can never do if this battle occurred in the real world. I violated the Autobots' most cherished principle. I knowingly harmed innocents because of our conflict with the Decepticons. But the element surprised Optimus. You had no choice. Each of us always has a choice. I chose to cheat. So even though Megatron did find a way to cheat, which you'll have to read the book to find out what it was, Prime's saying that he did this. And of course, Megatron smiles, because he tells Ethan Zachary goes, press my joystick and destroy me. Now I'm going to show one of the last pages. If you haven't read this book and you don't want it to be spoiled, go to your local comic shop, grab this book, and come back. Now that you've been warned, we will proceed. And this is what I meant by this book is bittersweet. This is the death of Optimus Prime. And the panel, as heart-wrenching as it is, still excellent, dynamic art. And it just leaves you just with this hole in your chest, like, ugh. And it's a lot more violent than the way that he passed away. Even though the way he passed away in the movie, that's still hard to watch to this day. But this is equally heart-wrenching, just to see that he sacrificed himself because he caused the death of another faux sentient being. So great writing by Budiansky, excellent artwork. And even though the video game characters were a little corny, overall, as I just said, choosing to lead through respect and harmony compared to fear and anger, it just shows such the duplicity of both of these characters. And then, of course, the action makes it fun. A lot of great moments in dialogue. I highly recommend this book if you can find it, guys. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please, first and foremost, support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Autobot bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.